Peter Piper picked a pick of pickled peppers. Hey everyone, welcome to Abby Online Teach. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 10 tips to learn English. And I know you probably know all of the generic ones, so I'm going to try and give you some new tips in today's video. So let's get straight into it. Tip number 1. So my first tip for you is to try and learn all of the different sounds in English. So this is commonly known as phonics. And I have made a video for adults who want to learn phonics, and I can link that somewhere up here, and I'll also make sure I've put a link in the description below. So it's really important to make sure you can actually pronounce all of the different sounds. There are quite a few, and this will also help you to be able to learn to read and write. So it's a really important thing that I'd recommend to help you get started. Tip number 2. So my second piece of advice for you is to try and pick an accent that you like and try and stick to this accent, and you can then develop your English just using this one particular accent. So of course there are so many different accents in the UK, and also we have American English, Australian English, and lots of other countries that speak English with their accent. My accent would be called Modern Received Pronunciation, and this is also sometimes known as Queen's English or just Standard English. And also there are so many different accents. There's the Welsh accent, you might have the Scottish accent, Scouse, so there's just so many. I won't go into all of them right now. So it can be a little confusing to try and learn more than one accent. So I just would recommend trying to pick one accent and sticking to it. So moving on to tip number 3. So my third tip for you guys is to try and watch as many YouTube videos online as possible. I'm going to be uploading lots of lessons to support you in learning English, and there are also loads of other YouTubers that make great content to help you learn English. So they're free videos, free tutorials and lessons, so I really think it's worth just watching 1 or 2 a day, and this will really support you in learning English. And tip number 4 is to try and imitate English speakers. So to imitate just means to copy exactly how English speakers speak. Try and watch YouTube videos that actually use the imitation technique. You can also just pause your video or pause what you're listening to try and listen carefully to how they are speaking. So think about their intonation, their rhythm, which words they're putting more stress on or syllables they put more stress on, and this will really help you to sound more natural when you're speaking English. So instead of learning English through reading or just learning individual words, it's a really good technique to learn English through phrases and trying to copy how they are said. And this way you'll hopefully sound more natural. And tip number 5 is to watch talks like TED Talks on YouTube. You can also watch things on the TV like Friends or just English shows that you enjoy, but I'd really recommend YouTube because you can go on the playback setting, and I'd recommend putting it on 0.75 or 0.5 if you want it to be really slow, and this just slows it down so you can follow along and really listen to their pronunciation, and it will just help you when you're beginning to learn English to just really catch what's being said. And I also think TED Talks are really good because there's just one speaker and they speak really clearly, and they're also really interesting to watch. You might learn a thing or two as well. And tip number 6. So my 6th tip is to practice tongue twisters. So these are really good if you're struggling to pronounce certain sounds. And tongue twisters are just phrases and sentences that have particular sounds in them, normally 1 or 2 sounds, and they're sentences that are quite hard to say quickly and correctly. So they're just fun ways to practice saying these sounds. So you can Google them, and I found a couple. I remember I used to really struggle with saying the S sound, the S sound, so you could practice for this one. She sells seashells on the seashore. So it's just lots of different S and sh words. So we're pronouncing the S and sh sound. So She sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashore, and you want to try and get faster and faster. She sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashore. Okay, I'm quite good at this one now. I think I have practiced that one quite a lot. And there is another one that I remember I always used to do as a child, and it's called red lorry, yellow lorry. And the and the sound is another common one that people struggle with, especially when they're learning English. So red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red. And you will soon see that you will pronounce lolly instead of lorry. So there's lots online, and you can just Google them with the sounds that you would like to practice. And tip number 7. So my 7th tip for you guys is to see if you can practice English with somebody online. So this could be through Messenger, but I'd really recommend trying to video call. So you could reach out to people through different Facebook groups, obviously try and make sure that it's somebody who has kind of a credible profile, so you don't want to be just talking to random people online, but it is a really good strategy to just help you learn English in a free way. And you could also offer them the chance to learn some of your language. So for example, if you speak Spanish, you could say, "Hey guys, is anyone interested in FaceTiming me to learn Spanish and helping me in learning English?" So you could FaceTime with somebody for an hour, just once a week, and for half an hour you could speak in your language, and then in the other half an hour they could speak to you in English. And tip number 8 is to try and think in English. I know this is really hard for people who are learning English, but even if you just set a few minutes in your day to really actively try and think in English, this will really help you to just begin that process of trying to think in English. You might say, every day when I cook dinner, I'm going to just try my best to remember to think in English. So for example, if you're about to reach for the onions, you might, instead of saying onions in your language in your head, try and say it in English in your head. You could start off with just words and then gradually build up to thinking in sentences. Another useful tip is to just try and talk to yourself in your head in English. So if you're having dinner alone one evening, you might just ask yourself, "How was my day?" You might feel a little bit uncomfortable and weird at first, but trust me, I speak to myself all the time. It's quite fun. And tip number 9 is to visit England. I know with the current restrictions, this is quite a challenge, but hopefully when the world does open up, we'll have some really cheap and affordable flights. And when you come to the UK, try and do really social things like going to pubs, clubs, going to bars. It's also really nice to try and reach out to groups on Facebook where they have lots of meetups, and this way you can really develop your English through speaking to fluent English speakers. You could also try a homestay, and this is where you go and stay with a family who is hosting. So they're just letting you stay in a spare bedroom in their home. And I remember when I was little, my mum actually did this, where we had some people come over from China. They were Chinese students and they stayed with us, and obviously they paid to stay at our home and we helped them in learning English. So we just spoke to them every day and had meals together, and it was just a really nice way to get to know different people, and also they benefited through learning English and having somewhere cheap and affordable to stay, and we also managed to earn a little bit from them staying with us. And my last tip for you guys, tip number 10, is to learn a new word every day. Of course, like with any language, there are just so many words and it's hard to learn all of them at once. But trying to be consistent and just learning one word a day will really support you in broadening your vocabulary, and you can also try out some really fun words to use as much as possible throughout your day. So if you learn the word fantastic, you could try and use it throughout the day by saying, "Oh, this food is fantastic. Wow, look at that, that's fantastic." So just try and incorporate this word, as weird as you might sound, just try and use it as much as possible. So those are all of my tips for you guys today. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also send me a comment down below. I really loved reading them all. And also don't forget to subscribe and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss our next video. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!